me. Today we are going to make something I've been making a lot of, and that is bread. Why? Because Brent loves his bread. I could live without it, but since I've been making my own, I really like it now too. And this is a super simple recipe. I got this from Jenny Can Cook, but I've had to make it a few times to get it just right, and so I'm going to share that with you. Now, you need to aerate flour. What does that mean? That means that when flour sits, it starts to settle and it gets all packed in there. So if you don't aerate the flour, you end up using more flour than you need. Basically, I'm taking a little scoop here and I'm just stirring it up, getting some air into the flour, and hence aerating my flour. I need a cup and a half. And you need, I'm using a steak knife here just to level off the cup. Okay, so that's 1 cup. And I need a half. So I can't believe it. This is a no knead bread recipe, which is so awesome. It's easy, and I love easy.
That means we don't
Simple
need
and
it, but we have it anyway.
That means what?
We don't need it, but we have it anyway.
We don't need it, but we have it.
Because we love it.
Because we love it. A half here. There we go. Awesome. Just put that off to the side. I have a 1/4 teaspoon of yeast in here and 1/2 teaspoon of salt, which I'm adding to the bowl. I've got my little cool spoonula here, and I'm just gonna stir that around. I always do that to all my dry ingredients for baking. Stir it all around before you add your wets. Now, the wet is just 3/4 cup of hot tap water. Okay, so I've got 3/4 cup here. I am adding to that all of it. Nice. And then you just mix it all in. And don't overmix, just until it's all incorporated. Okay, that looks pretty good. And I'm just gonna push the dough on the sides down. Another little trick that I learned because I don't want to waste any flour. You know, we're still only shopping once every 3 weeks during this COVID-19 pandemic. And the main reason that I started learning how to make bread is because Brent loves his bread. We kept running out of it, and I didn't want to run out to get it. So if I can make it, that's what I'm going to do. So here is the dough, and we need to cover this with plastic. I reuse plastic. This looks like it'll fit. Sort of in that same vein of recycle, reuse, right? So this is done, and you will cover this lovely future loaf of fresh bread with a towel. And leave it on the countertop, somewhere off to the side, and it just needs to rest for 3 hours. That's where this recipe takes time. It's just in the waiting. It's certainly not in the efforting, right? Which is awesome. Simple and easy. Okay, whoops. 3 hours. And that's it. And then we will come back after 3 hours, and then I will share with you what happens next. As we are waiting, I will share with you my drink of the day, which is iced green tea. I just have 1 tea bag in here, and then I put it in the fridge and it's ready to go. And I usually pour my drinks in cups, glasses. Today it's straight out of the jar because sometimes I'm lazy and I like easy, and this bread is easy. See you soon. And so the 3 hours are up, and let's take a look at our bread dough. So it's been resting off to the side. Now look how it's risen, and it's jiggly like that. And if you don't aerate the flour, it won't be jiggly like that. So it's very important. You want it to look like this. Now you're going to flour the surface like so. And because, as I said, this is a no knead recipe, Knead, you will need one of these, a scraper, which I had from before. Very, very handy, and I've been using it quite a bit. So I've got that off to the side, and I'm just going to place my dough onto this surface. And I use this spatula, because I want to get all the dough from the bowl. So there we are. Awesome. And you're just going to turn it a few times, back and forth like this, so it's not too sticky. Okay, that's done. I've got parchment paper lined in a loaf pan. I'm just going to move this over there, like so. Now, this is a small loaf. It's a half recipe. So for a regular size loaf, then you would double everything, right? But this is really only for one person because I don't really eat a lot of bread. Now, I'm going to cover this. Okay, it's very exciting, folks. I've never made bread before, and every time I do it, it's a little bit exciting because it looks different every time. I mean, it tastes very good and very light, but you know, this passage from here to there, it's always a little tricky. So I will set the oven for 450. Let's see now. I gotta turn this off so I can see. Okay, 450, and I'm placing a Dutch oven into the oven, removing my cookie sheet, and place that off to the side. And what I did as I was waiting for the dough to rise was I covered 2 baked potatoes. And whenever I'm baking something, a cake or bread or a pizza, I will cover potatoes and throw them in on the side just so I can have a baked potato, or I can use that for potato salad later and make it tomorrow. Okay, so this will take about, I guess it really depends on your oven, right? It could take 20 to 30 minutes to heat to 450. And once it hits 450, I will take the Dutch oven out and place the bread into the Dutch oven, and it will go for 30 minutes, but I will see you back in 20 minutes time. It is done. The temperature is at 450, and I'm going to remove the cloth from here and get the Dutch oven. Now you be very careful taking it out of 450. It's very hot. Okay, and remove the lid. I'm just gonna cover that because I don't want to hurt myself. Put the bread like so. Replace the lid onto the Dutch oven or oven safe pan with lid. Placing that back in for 30 minutes. Okay, now the reason that I put the dough in a loaf pan is because I want it to have that kind of long shape. If I put it back into the mixing bowl, then it'll be a round blob of bread, which is just fine because a lot of bread comes that way, round. When I make a bigger loaf for my sister and her family, it looks like that. It's a big round piece of bread, which is awesome. But for us, and because really it's just for Brent, I want to try to keep it in a nice loaf shape because I find it's more conducive to making sandwiches, and it's just easier, right, Brent? The loaf shape?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I will see you back in 30 minutes, and at that time I will remove the parchment paper, remove the lid, and it will go in for another 15 minutes, and then it's done. And the timer went off at 30 minutes, so we're going to take it out. It's very hot. Take it out. Okay, remove the lid, remove the parchment. Ooh, look at that. And put it back in for another 15. Okay. Whew. The drink of the night is Stella. So nice on a summer night. And yes, if you've been watching my videos, you'll notice that I am a little tan today because I did go to the beach, and summer is my most fantastic season of all. We've got just a couple of seconds left for the bread, and then it'll be done. And it's so exciting because you'll see how easy it is to make bread, and I've been doing it a lot. I double the recipe and for like a regular sized loaf, but this is good. You'll see it's a nice small loaf, and it's coming out in 2, 1, bing. Okay, so watch this. It's so exciting. Oh my God, it's so hot. Okay, here we go. Those potatoes are still in there. I'm turning the heat off. Oh my God, look at how cute that is. There you go. No knead bread.